is the United States has become highly dependent on imported cheaper goods.
Tonight, consumers and small businesses bracing for higher prices as the tariffs continue to create uncertainty all across the economy. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. Tonight, a tariff loophole has closed for many items shipped directly to U.S. consumers, leaving shoppers paying more. And many small business owners across the West are worried this could take yet another toll on their bottom line. The owner of Hot Desert Air Conditioning and Cooling Company says he has felt the cost of tariffs trickling down to his commercial projects. Most of his parts and units come from China, and then they're manufactured in Mexico. Chris Wiley is dealing with higher prices or sometimes limited supply.
Oh, we're probably down about 25%. There's a couple jobs where I don't have coverage. So I just have a job, I have a contract, I'm liable, I have to provide the equipment, but I just can't get it.
And with tariffs causing issues for businesses and the weather warming up, Wiley says it's a good idea to get your AC checked out before new parts or units are more difficult to come by. And starting today, President Trump has done away with a tariff exemption on certain low-cost goods shipped directly to U.S. consumers from China. The president referred to this tax loophole as a scam. KTVU's Ali Rasmus explains the type of items that will now cost more to buy, especially online.
If the package was worth less than $800, that there would not be a tariff on it.
The de minimis exemption had allowed online shoppers to buy millions of packages of cheap goods every year, duty-free.
There are a lot of companies such as Shein, Temu, that ship in products to U.S. consumers using this exemption.
Now that the loophole is gone and the baseline tariff on goods from China is 145%, many of those previously low-cost items, think fast fashion, toys, other knickknacks, will become more expensive.
It's going to have a huge impact because the reality is the United States has become highly dependent on imported cheaper goods.
More than 80% of U.S. e-commerce shipments in 2022 were these types of low-price products, amounting to about 1.3 billion packages shipped in the U.S. every year. The change comes just as the head of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce sent a letter to the Trump administration asking it to create a tariff exclusion process for small businesses. The letter calls on the administration to, quote, take immediate action to save America's small business and stave off a recession. The Chamber's CEO asks for automatic exclusion from new tariffs for any small business importer and exclusions for products that can't be produced in the U.S. or aren't readily available from a domestic source. They use the example of coffee, bananas, cocoa, and certain minerals.
When you have tariffs on things that we don't even grow here, like bananas and coffee, or when you have tariffs on businesses that lead to layoffs, they need immediate relief, or they need an exemption process that lets them figure out time to plan a supply chain, to have certainty.
And that was KTVU's Ali Rasmus reporting tonight. On Wall Street today, stocks extended their winning streak. The Dow jumped 564 points. The Nasdaq was up by 266 points for a 1.5% gain as tech stocks rose today. And the S&P 500 climbed by 82 points. The markets have regained their steep losses from April when President Trump first rolled out tariffs on goods from around the world. Tonight, Democratic lawmakers are sounding the alarm, warning about an expected decline in the number of container ships arriving at West Coast ports in the coming months. Washington Senator Patty Murray, along with senators from Oregon and California, addressed what they call the harmful consequences of President Trump's tariffs across the American economy.
They are facing tariffs on items we either don't grow or make in the United States, and realistically never will, for things like coffee or green tea. They are shouting from the rooftop that Trump is single-handedly detonating a mass extinction event for small businesses in America.
The Northwest Seaport Alliance is expecting a 40% drop this month in arrivals at the ports of Seattle and Tacoma. And we told you this week, the director of the Port of Los Angeles expects shipments from China will drop by more than 35% next week. Some experts predict the downturn at ports could lead to layoffs across the trucking and retail industries and could potentially lead to some shortages on store shelves. Today, President Trump unveiled his budget proposal calling for cutting domestic spending by $163 billion while boosting defense spending. President Trump's proposal calls for increased defense spending, increasing it by spending $113 billion and giving Homeland Security an additional $42 billion. The White House proposes cutting housing and urban development by $34 billion and Health and Human Services by $33 billion. The National Institutes of Health and the CDC would see $22 billion worth of cuts.
It will be the biggest bill ever passed in the history of our Congress, our Senate and Congress.
The Republican-controlled Congress has already begun the work of drafting a budget that reflects the president's priorities, including extending the tax cuts enacted during his first term. Democratic leaders say the budget plan would gut health and housing programs that help ordinary Americans.
If Republicans are successful in jamming down an extreme budget into signature into law, then they own that. It's on them.
A few Republicans are speaking out against the president's plan, including one New York congressman who said that cuts to a home energy assistance fund would leave people in need, quote, out in the cold. Republicans have set a deadline of the 4th of July to pass that budget. 7 people are dead tonight after a fiery crash in Idaho near Yellowstone National Park. Authorities say a pickup truck and a tour van collided on a highway that leads into the park. Both of those vehicles caught fire after the crash. This all happened last night around 7 o'clock. The driver of the pickup and 6 people inside that passenger van were all killed. The van was carrying a tour group of 14 people, and those who survived were taken to the hospital. Authorities tonight are continuing to investigate what caused that deadly crash. In Arizona, one of the 7 suspects accused of beating a teenager to death during a Halloween party learned his punishment today after pleading guilty to the crime. A judge sentenced William Hines to 12 years in prison after he pled guilty for his involvement in that 2023 deadly beating that left 16-year-old Preston Lord dead. Hines was the first of the suspects to take a plea deal in this case. Preston Lord was severely beaten following a confrontation at that party, and he died 2 days later. Today, his father spoke ahead of the sentencing.
I have no words of forgiveness to offer William Owen Hines for the role he played in my son's death. The severity of the crime demands accountability, and I ask for the maximum sentence.
It is the judgment of the court that you be sentenced to a term of 12 years in the Department of Corrections.
Hines was also sentenced today for 2 unrelated attacks that happened in 2022 and a drunk driving crash from 2023. Hines' long criminal history was something the state has referred to as a path of destruction leading up to Preston's death. Hines himself also spoke in court today.
Although I did not know Preston personally, he seemed to be an astounding man, a kind soul senselessly taken from this world. He didn't deserve not one of those kicks or punches. This act of violence has now left a man without a son, a sister without a brother, and a father without his boy.
6 others have been charged with first-degree murder and kidnapping in connection with Preston's killing. All 6 of them are still awaiting trial. Staying in Arizona, and new details are now emerging about the murder of a pastor in the town of New River, just north of Phoenix. And we do want to warn you tonight, some of these new details are disturbing. The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office found the body of 76-year-old Bill Schoenman on Monday, and multiple sources say he was found on the bed, his arms spread out and hands tacked to the wall. He also appeared to have significant injuries. The medical examiner's office has officially ruled his death a homicide. Authorities say there is no threat to the public, but many neighbors are shaken.
We locked our doors last night, which is something we're not used to doing. And, everybody's just kind of, till we find out what's going on. We don't know if it was like a family member, or we don't know who could do this to him.
This investigation is ongoing tonight. There's still no word on whether or not a suspect is in custody or any possible motive in that killing. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a heated confrontation at a Las Vegas bakery, all stemming from a cake topper. The entire thing was caught on surveillance video. How the victim is pushing for accountability. Also, a dramatic rescue in in California. Sheriff's deputies racing to save a man from a burning car. What authorities say led up to this fiery crash.
And in weather, here's our live camera looking out towards San Francisco. Clouds moving on board for portions of the West Coast this weekend, and we'll have the forecast update coming up after the break.
Tonight, police in Las Vegas are looking for a woman who was involved in a fight with a cake shop employee, and this altercation was caught on surveillance video. Fox 5's Carla Salinas spoke with the employee about this terrifying ordeal.
It all started like any normal shift for this employee at a local cake shop who spoke with us on condition of anonymity. But what happens next was anything but normal.
She had her dog with her and her daughter, and I told her that there was no pets allowed in the shop. She was visibly upset.
The woman was unhappy with the cake topper she received.
And she wanted it like the picture.
I want the letters bigger.
And I was trying to explain that we don't know how big anything is from a picture.
Ma'am, I'm trying to be okay.
As tensions escalated, the two ended up on the ground. Surveillance video shows the woman attacking this employee in front of her own child.
And I remember just hearing her daughter scream. And as I was getting punched, I tell her, like, you're doing this in front of your kid. And that's when she yelled out, like, it's okay.
The woman left, and the employee called police and filed a report, but no arrests have been made yet. We reached out to Metro, and they said this is still an ongoing investigation and no citation has been issued, but they are actively looking for this woman. The employee went to the hospital and was told she suffered whiplash and a head injury.
I did a hematoma, but like a bump on my head from where she punched me over and over again on the top of my head.
The employee has since left the cake shop, saying she no longer feels safe. But perhaps the most painful blow, she says, is that the woman who attacked her still hasn't been found.
Justice would just be for her to be held accountable for what she did. Jail time, I don't know, fees. I mean, I missed 3 days of work. It's just not okay. And she left without her topper that she came in for, that she complained about.
Carla Salinas, Fox 5 News, Local, Las Vegas.
2 Bay Area school districts have launched investigations after several high school baseball players say they faced racist taunts during a recent game. Players at Albany High School say those offensive taunts came from opposing players from Pinole Valley High School. Those players are also accused of committing similar offenses days earlier against Asian American players on the El Cerrito High School baseball team.
Bigoted slurs were directed toward my child and the other Asian American baseball player on El Cerrito High. Racist actions from the Pinole Valley High School varsity baseball team is clearly systemic. This was not an isolated issue.
The California Interscholastic Federation could potentially launch its own investigation. Now we turn to Washington, where the state is gearing up for the official start of boating season. And with that comes an important time to focus on water safety. As Fox 13's Lauren Donovan tells us, while some days can seem warm across Washington, temperatures are still very chilly beneath the surface of the water, meaning sometimes it can be dangerous to go in.
We're here for sand and a little bit of splashing around. They're just wading in, so if I'm lucky, there's no swimming.
Try as she might. Falls City mom Stacy Fulmer tells me
they know that they're not supposed to get in past their ankles, but they always end up going in a little bit deeper.
Sandcastle season is underway here at Lake Sammamish State Park. The sun is shining as kiddos fill pails at the water's edge. And at this time of year, that is exactly where you should be, according to both meteorologists and public health officials. See, standing here on shore, you feel the mid-70s, but beneath the surface, it's a chilly 54 degrees. Temperatures like that can cause a shock to your system so powerful, your muscles seize up, increasing the risk for drownings. Peggy Wilkerson, a boat owner from Bellevue, shared she is still haunted by a drowning she witnessed.
You sometimes now when you hear helicopters, it's a scary sound because when they're low, they're looking for people that are lost in the water.
Over at Maidenbower Bay, we saw a handful of bold beachgoers taking a dip, some even shaking as they waded into icy Lake Washington. Offshore in the distance, Bellevue fire crews trained on their new jet skis with rescue swimmers, new tools that hopefully won't have to be put to the test tomorrow on opening day of boating season.
I think that you have to be sober, which is not something someone wants to hear, especially the party animals. But that's where it gets real scary when you see some of these people going just... And the water's cold. It's going to be cold for another couple months. So if somebody goes in, you have to get them out quickly.
Reporting on Mercer Island, Lauren Donovan, Fox 13 News.
All right, a warm up there in Washington. A lot of folks will be heading toward the water here, but for some people across the West Coast, Mark, we are talking about a real cool down here, at least over the weekend.
Yeah, that's our thinking, Alex. In fact, some areas picking up some rain showers, other areas picking up some stronger winds. So starting to warm up. The water does seem enticing out there across parts of the West Coast. You can see some of the highs from today, some 90s in Arizona, the Bay Area, upper 50s to the 60s. Then up in Portland, 77 degrees this afternoon. Seattle in the upper 60s. In the San Francisco Bay Area, the winds will really be picking up for your Saturday. And as a result, we do have a wind advisory for the coast, also including San Francisco. And the same system will eventually make its trek to the east, and that could produce some stronger winds out toward Arizona. That will be on Sunday for the Phoenix area. Now, as we check out the view here, the satellite and the radar, some clouds moving into the Pacific Northwest and some action on the radar there. Right now, the radar coverage, as you can pick out some showers in the northern portions of Arizona, a few scattered showers. And Los Angeles, the possibility of some showers this weekend. For the Bay Area, more clouds coming on board here, as you can see here, and up in the Pacific Northwest, some scattered rain showers showing up on this map here just over the past few hours. As we check out the current numbers out there, it is 91 degrees in Phoenix, Las Vegas 87, San Francisco 56 degrees, and Seattle in the upper 50s. This was Seattle today, showing you a mixture of sun and clouds, temperatures maxing out in the upper 60s. For San Francisco, fog is back, keeping those temperatures on the cooler side only in the 50s. Then in Phoenix, you can see some clouds out there in the distance. 94 degrees this afternoon, so still another warm to hot day. But once again, the winds for this portion of the West Coast will be picking up into the Sunday forecast. So here is the plan for tomorrow. We are expecting some clouds up in Seattle, some winds for San Francisco. If you want the sunshine, we have that out toward Denver with this big area of high pressure building in. There's a chance of some scattered showers for Los Angeles for both Saturday and into Sunday. Here's the forecast models. We do put it in motion as we take this into your Saturday. And as you can see, the possibility of some scattered showers in Southern California, also out toward the Sierra Nevada. And then into Sunday, there's the possibility of maybe some showers developing out toward portions of Arizona, even a chance closer to Phoenix. But the key impacts will also be those winds picking up for that portion of the West Coast as we do move into Sunday. So here is the plan over the next 3 days. Seattle, lots of cloud cover tomorrow, temperatures in the mid-50s. San Francisco, blustery day for Saturday, but then we'll eventually warm up those numbers into early next week. Los Angeles, maybe some scattered showers this weekend for both Saturday and into Sunday, and some changes for Phoenix. Another warm to hot day tomorrow, but they could be tracking some shower chances as we do move into a Sunday. So, Alex, a bit of an unsettled weather pattern setting up for parts of the West Coast as we head into the weekend.
Yeah, certainly looks like it. A big drop in the temperatures in Arizona. Okay, Mark, thank you. In Northern California, newly released body camera video shows a sheriff's deputy pulling a man out of a burning car.
Everybody got out?
This fiery crash happened back on April 20th, just outside the city of Patterson. A Stanislaus County Sheriff's deputy pulled that man from the passenger side door and then dragged him to safety. Authorities say the driver failed to stop at a stop sign and crashed into that open field. Investigators say the driver did show signs of impairment and he was taken to the hospital for treatment. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, the son of former NBA All-Star Gilbert Arenas on the road to recovery after being rushed to the hospital following a fiery crash. What his family is saying about his future. A Denver jail is launching a new program aimed at restoring dignity to inmates as they meet with their loved ones behind bars. As Fox 31's Gabby Easterwood tells us tonight, this program is a first of its kind in the country, and it all begins with a change of clothing.
Today is a momentous occasion for the Denver Sheriff's Department as we embark on something that's not being done in any jail in the country.
This will be the view for inmates as they walk into this visitation space after having a choice of non-institutional, everyday clothes.
The majority of them are going to come back to our community. We want to set them up for success and their families for success.
The design of the room creating a welcoming environment for reconnection. The mural reading, "Heal the past, live the present, and dream the future."
When you look at the beautiful doves, when you look at the faces that are on the wall and the flower and the seed that's planted, that seed that we're planting here is the seed of hope, the seed of connection, the seed of dignity and humanity.
Sheriff Elias Diggins drawing on his own experiences. His father, once an inmate here.
Seeing your parent coming out in an inmate uniform is something that you never get out of your mind. And so if we want to bring families together, and if we want to reduce the trauma that families have by their incarceration experience, because families are doing time as well, why not?
Denver Councilwoman Chantel Lewis facilitated the partnership with Goodwill to provide the clothing, creating no additional costs for the department.
When you strip away the jumpsuit, you restore dignity. When a parent can see their child or loved one can hold a hand without that layer of shame, you begin to heal something deeper.
They believe this will have a direct effect on these individuals' experiences once they're released, and the hope is the program will have success in leading them down the right path.
When they leave, we hope that they remember these experiences and how they were treated, knowing that they were not punished while they're here. The deprivation of their freedom was their punishment. And when they go home, we hope that they continue to stay on those tracks about being good people and helping the community.
In Denver, Gabby Easterwood, Fox 31.
And finally tonight, an encouraging update here on USC basketball recruit Elijah Arenas, who was injured in a crash in Los Angeles last week. We told you about it here on the show. His family now says he has been released from the hospital and he is back home recovering. Arenas, who is the son of former NBA All-Star Gilbert Arenas, was rushed to the hospital after losing control of his Tesla Cybertruck and then slamming into a tree and a fire hydrant. This is video here as he arrived back home. Arenas had to be placed in a coma because of smoke inhalation. Arenas' family says he is surrounded by love and support as he begins his road to recovery. A talented high school basketball player. Great to see him doing better. That does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. We appreciate you watching. As always, have a great night.